AWS on air here live at re:Invent. I'm Pam Rebelny. This is the last segment.
The final one.
Wrapping it up for the day. But we got more. We got lots more. We got 2 more days still.
2 more. Yep, 2 more.
So much more to do. If you are joining us, I'm sorry you're joining us here at the end, but be sure to join us tomorrow. We're doing all kinds of fun things. We're talking about launches. We're talking to startups, to partners. We're talking game day with me. We're playing some Quest. We're going to play Quest tomorrow, Aaron.
Nice.
And we're talking with AWS heroes. Aaron, first we're gonna introduce you, and then we'll introduce Mike.
So I'm Aaron Hunter, Senior Technical Trainer with AWS Training and Certification. That's AM.
Did I say my name? I don't even know if I said my name.
Nope.
And then we have one of our amazing AWS heroes here with us today, Mike.
Hi, Mike Fiedler, AWS Container Hero. Really glad to be here with y'all to wrap up this wonderful day. Today is such a special day because it's Fargate's 5th birthday. If you've never used AWS Fargate, it's an amazing kind of serverless compute layer behind the scenes. It takes away so many operational concerns, and it was launched re:Invent 5 years ago, and it finally hit today. Today's the day, 5 years old.
And there's another birthday, it's 3 years old, is that right?
Yeah, generally we're being a little generous with the timeline here within a month or two. But the 3-year-old birthday is for AWS Copilot CLI, which is the end user facing tool, which is the best tool for building out container runtimes, especially if you're getting started. If you've never built a AWS container runtime, Copilot is the go-to tool.
That's really cool. And,
Yeah.
and can you tell us about your journey and how you got started?
With containers on AWS, absolutely. Predates Copilot, which is why I think it's such a transformational tool. We start out exploring Docker containers, writing Docker files, Docker Compose configurations. Those are all really great utilities to build local development environments. And then the challenge becomes, how do I take that and progress that into the cloud? So way back when, prior to ECS existing, we would all launch our AMIs, run Docker containers on them, pull the images down and run them, and that added so much operational overhead that the teams that eventually built ECS as a container orchestrator tried to solve a lot of those concerns, but the part that was still kind of missing was that developer experience of getting from 0 to hero.
I see what you did there.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
actually appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm
Final
gonna have
session.
to call a penalty.
Throw a yellow flag or show a yellow card.
No,
Yeah.
you're going to the box.
it's not that
I'm a hockey fan.
5 for fighting?
So
Okay,
you're
got
in
it.
the box
Yeah.
now. No, Mike, I've been a big fan of the Hero program ever since I learned about it a couple years ago, and I've made some of best friends I've had through the Hero program.
Oh, that's great.
I won't name names, just in case I forget anyone.
No favoritism. No.
I would never.
Never.
They're all my
You
favorites.
can name Mike.
That's true. You're sitting right
I'm
in front
here,
of me, Mike.
so, like,
you're
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mike's wearing a mic.
And one of my favorite things too is like about the Heroes program. Oftentimes, heroes will come and join AWS too later on. We had a lot of retired heroes. I'll call them.
Yeah.
That's one of the conditions of the Hero program is you can't work for AWS, right?
Right.
Yes.
And as AWS has recognized heroes in the community, they have extended offers and hired heroes. So there is a small group of ex-heroes inside of AWS who we love and cherish. And
Are we going to call them ex-heroes or former heroes?
Oh, that's a good point. Former heroes.
Okay.
They are not ex-heroes. They are still heroic
Yes.
in their way, working inside the machine with all the rest of us outside.
I'm sitting in the seat of a former hero who is supposed to be one of our hosts, Farrah Campbell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
Couldn't make it, but thanks
Jump
AM
in.
for sitting in.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
no Farrah.
No.
Absolutely
No.
You are not.
But there's a bunch of
Make
people.
no mistake, this is not CGI or anything like
No.
that. No.
All right, so with Docker, you talked about a whole lot of
wait,
different...
hold on.
No.
I wanted to hear Mike's take on the Hero program.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to hear that too. Thank you.
So the Hero program is where we've scaled to now, I think, about 250 or so heroes worldwide. And we span a variety of different competencies and kind of specialties between containers, serverless, data, storage, community heroes. And every hero is going to bring their own unique capabilities and flavors to the overarching diverse group of individuals that we are. One of our community heroes was recognized recently with the Go Build Award from Werner directly.
I think that was last night.
That was last night. Oh, time flies differently here. But last night, yeah, and it was wonderful. And it's just a great giving back for all the work that we do as kind of fans, but also really hard critics that we are not ashamed to vocalize to the right folks inside of AWS who love our feedback.
Yes.
They love to hear our feedback. They want that candidness, and the service teams eat it up and then go off and figure out what to do next.
Would you say a hero is an expert or someone who's just well-versed?
So I think the spectrum is there, right? Some are experts in one specific area, some are well-versed in a variety of different general approaches across the AWS ecosystem, and some of us dive deeper into specific technologies like containers or serverless.
Yeah, or Copilot.
Or Copilot, right?
You were talking to me off stage too about, and I love the phrase you used, heroes help heroes.
Yeah.
You all are a very tight-knit community as well.
So we have a couple different online channels. We use Slack for some of the communications. We use WhatsApp during the event here. And we've got a really great group of inside AWS coordinators who will listen to what we're doing and figure out how to connect heroes when there's like, oh, I've heard Mike is trying out this new thing. Let me connect you with another hero, because maybe you are doing something similar or complementary and can help each other. I was relating a story where one of the serverless heroes had posted a conundrum they had hit on Twitter, and a bunch of us, about 4 or 5 different heroes, all kind of jumped in and posited our ideas, live debugging, if you will, on
really
Twitter.
Cool.
And then we all went away and kind of came back with here's what I believe the resolution is. And sure enough, it's here's how you can reduce your Lambda latencies with one little trick, right? These lovely little tidbits of really arcane ideas, but we can get to those.
That's really, really, really cool. And do you remember what the problem was and how everyone solved it? Yeah,
it's specifically when you're using a Python runtime in your Lambda function where you're making calls to AWS control plane APIs and more than just a few control plane APIs. So digging into the specifics of how HTTP keep alives are being maintained when you're talking to multiple services across the AWS ecosystem, the defaults will recycle connections and trigger DNS lookup latencies, which can cause a head scratcher. But applying the right configuration at the right location gives you that HTTP keep alive buffer, and it even led to a contribution to the Boto 3 open source library to communicate, and they released that within days, so that way new users can take advantage of this.
So what I'm hearing is a lot of community hero collaboration, a lot of builder hero collaboration, a lot of documentation improvements, a lot of SDK improvements, a lot of improvements for all AWS customers.
Yeah.
And you're forging relationships all through that.
Absolutely.
Which I love.
There are some folks who I've never met in person, and we're pals. And then we get together at reInvent and have a wonderful time together. It's I've never met you before, but I know you.
I've seen all the hero photos on Twitter hanging out with Werner Vogel last night. I'm so jealous.
He's wonderful in that he gives us some of his time.
Were you there last night?
Yep, I was there last night.
So tell us about the dinner. How was that?
Oh, I don't want to tell you too much. But
that's behind the scenes here.
Okay.
That's protected hero secrets.
Tell us about your documentation.
Let's talk
blog.
Copilot, right? You were about to bring up Copilot before, Aaron, when I cut you off.
It's okay. We'll move over to his blog. So tell us about your blog.
Yeah. So I've been maintaining my own blog where I write all sorts of insanity or drivel over the years that I find interesting. Hopefully others will find it educational, interesting as well, which is why it's on my blog and not on the AWS blog, right? Because it's me taking people on a journey. So this AWS latency thing, once I got to I think I have the idea, I wanted to deconstruct it and take it apart and figure out how can I prove this? Yes. I have a hypothesis. I could flip the flag and say experience-wise, yep, this is how.
You're almost like a tech scientist.
Well, it depends on how far you want to dig, right? I firmly believe that in our industry and our profession, everything is knowable if you have the desire to continue to peel back as many layers as you can At some point, you hit okay, that's an AWS problem, but that's why we have AWS support. We have engagement with service teams through the Hero program, but you have support as well.
And then based on your account level, you might have like an account manager or a technical account manager
that you can engage
or a solutions
with.
architect.
Right. And they will help you navigate some of the, like, how do I get to the right people to debug this very niche. If it was a 99% hit everybody, they'd fix it already. It's usually that really narrow, I'm trying to do something very specific and it's not working exactly as I thought. So why is that? Let's uncover the truth.
I think one of the things I respect the most about Heroes, and I don't even know if this is what Heroes set out to do, but it is definitely the impact they have, is that through their experimentation, through their time and effort and work, they make things easier for everyone else.
Yeah, I think it's one of those kind of skills that we are most of us are passionate tinkerers. Right? It's, that sounds interesting. Let me poke at that, see what I can do with it. Right?
And the fallout from that is like, as a technical trainer, and when I'm teaching classes to students who want to learn, I reference blogs all the time. And I reference several Hero blogs almost every class I teach. Like your work goes to thousands or tens or hundreds of thousands of people around the world.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you for using my content, it's great. I think there's a lot of notable solutions architects or developer advocates inside AWS who also maintain technical blogs, and I would be remiss to not call out Nathan Peck, who is an amazing blogger, who I'll refer to his content a lot before kind of redoing my own.
And AWS on-air host, too.
Absolutely. He was here earlier today, right?
One of the original DAs.
Yeah,
for sure. Going back to open source and Copilot, making things easier for people, do you want to tell us a little bit about your early days with Copilot?
Yeah, so Copilot was announced about 3 years ago, and the team are building it in the open. It is an open source tool. Whenever we want to run something on our computers, we always want to kind of like take a pass at it, like, what is this? What am I running? Why does this work the way that it does? And the AWS team who launched it and continues to maintain it are excellent communicators. They always want the feedback. They always want to understand my use case. Their GitHub issues game is really good. They're just really engaged with the user community. And they're always open to feedback. And when I started looking, I was like, okay, this piece seems confusing. Let's open an issue, talk about it, update some documentation. This command could be constructed slightly differently, or we can do an auto-completion with a different tool. Let's add these kind of synergies to make this stuff work better together for the end user, because so very often, as builders, we have that kind of narrow view of what makes sense to us, and by getting the outside opinion and working in the open, you get all of our opinions. Now, you can shoot most of them down and still say that doesn't match with my vision, but at least you're hearing what we have to say.
Exactly.
You're engaging, right? Like at the end of the day, and that's a two-way street. Right?
Exactly.
Engaging is
and by developing a lot of the Copilot code in the open, you get to see the evolution and kind of the simplicity that it provides the end user to navigate complex services like AWS App Runner, ECS and fully scaled out load balanced services on Fargate, how to do request-driven web services on App Runner, which is, I think, that again, App Runner runs on top of Fargate and is the easiest way to, again, if you're a passionate tinkerer, to get mean time to value. Let's see, does this idea work? I wrote the app, I tinkered with it on my laptop. I want to share it with you and see, do you like it? And the beauty of using these kind of services like App Runner and Copilot to manage that interaction is it gives you sane defaults, secure by default, kind of really, you don't have to make 100 decisions before you get started. You only have to make a couple. And then by only making those couple of decisions, you say, you know what, those decisions were right. I still have that escape hatch to continue to refine my decisions. Say, I'd like to allocate more memory, less memory. I'd like to allocate more concurrency. But the defaults will help you scale for your first 1 million users.
And I heard a couple things, building communities and collaborating. How can people collaborate with you? And before we wrap up, because we have about 30 seconds left.
Collaborate with me. I'm on Twitter. I'm at Mike Fiedler on Twitter. I'm at MikeTheMan.net. That's the blog where you'll find a lot of the stuff.
And you mentioned Copilot being open source, so do you have a GitHub as well?
I do. My GitHub is at Mike the Man. So I'm on GitHub at Mike the Man. All of those links should be on the bio on the AWS Heroes page.
Perfect.
Where you can search aws.amazon.com for the heroes, and you'll find all of us.
Mike, thank you for being here. Thank you for being an AWS hero. And to all of you watching us live on AWS On Air, thank you for watching all day. Thank you for day 2 at reInvent, and tune in tomorrow for more AWS On Air. And you want to do some high fives to get out of here?
All right.
Boom. See you, everyone.